Baby Driver 2 is on the way, Galactus is coming to the MCU, and we have our very first look at The Irishman. That and so much more coming right up. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome to another Wednesday Weekly News. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy. Before we start this week off, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of our latest uploads. Now, let's get right into it. To kick things off is The Hunt, the latest trailer coming from the production company Blumhouse. It was a very short and sweet trailer, and it was done in a very comical way. I mean, Blumhouse, we know they only do horror movies, but this was done in more of like an infomercial type way. Super cool, very cryptic, and it gives you a lot to think about. And it's starring the likes of Emma Roberts and Hilary Swank. Queen and Slim also debuted its first trailer this week. The movie stars Daniel Kaluuya and first-timer Jodie Turner-Smith. The movie follows a couple as they go out on their first date, and things take an unexpected turn when they get pulled over. And also another first trailer this week was Little Monsters. The movie stars Lupita Nyong'o and Josh Gad as they protect a group of small children from a zombie outbreak. Although by the looks of things, it seems to be taking a more lighthearted and comical approach. Next is one that I am super excited for, and that is The Lighthouse. It stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and it follows two lighthouse keepers on a remote island. And this was another trailer that was super dark. The movie was shot in black and white, and you really don't know which road it's gonna take. Second to last for the trailers this week is 1917. The movie was directed by Sam Mendes, who is most recently known for directing Skyfall and Spectre, the James Bond movies. The movie is set during the First World War. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Mark Strong, Colin Firth, and Robert Madden. It follows a group of soldiers as they attempt to get a message to help their allies avoid getting into a trap. And the biggest trailer of this week is of course The Irishman. The Irishman, if you don't know for some reason, is directed by the legendary Martin Scorsese and stars the likes of Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and finally the returning Joe Pesci. The movie honestly looks like it could be Scorsese's next Goodfellas. It follows a mob hitman played by De Niro as he recalls his involvement with the possible slaying of Jimmy Hoffa. And lucky for all of us fans everywhere, the movie is actually releasing on Netflix, so as soon as it drops, you can watch it right away. But it will also have a limited theatrical run too if you prefer to see it on the big screen. Next up for this week is the confirmed news. Firstly was that massive It Chapter 2 runtime was actually confirmed to be the true runtime by the director. The runtime was revealed to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. This was cut down from the original 4-hour runtime, which has been hinted at that we might actually see on Blu-ray. Ryan Reynolds seemingly confirmed on Instagram that Deadpool will in fact be involved in the MCU Phase 5. Yes, that is a little ways away, but I am thrilled to finally get the Merc with a Mouth into the MCU. And to no one's surprise at all, The Lion King passes $1 billion at the box office. That is actually the 4th film this year from Disney alone to pass the $1 billion mark. The other ones being Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and Aladdin. Hiram Garcia confirms that Juan Colette Serra has signed on to direct Black Adam for the DCEU. And it is said that the final script is now being tweaked, and they're looking to head into production as soon as possible, with the Warner Bros. Execs being extremely happy with the way the movie is looking. Director James Wan of Insidious, The Conjuring, and Aquaman fame is set to write and direct a new horror film for New Line Cinema before Aquaman 2 goes into production. And to tack right on to the end of that, Aquaman 2 is eyeing to begin production in early 2020. After the success of Booksmart, now director Olivia Wilde is looking to direct a new psychological thriller, Don't Worry, Darling. And lastly, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis biopic starring Austin Butler has moved release dates to October 1st of 2021, while the highly anticipated Denis Villeneuve-directed Dune remake has switched release dates to December 18th of 2020. And now we moved on to the rumored portion of the news. And to kick things off, of course, is the headliner for this video, and probably the biggest news of this week. Ansel Elgort has confirmed that Baby Driver 2 is in the works. works. He claims to have seen a script and has been told the title of the film from director Edgar Wright. Next up is that the massive comic book villains Galactus and Tyrant are both said to be coming to the MCU in the near future. Actress Eva Green is set to play a female version of the villain Nightmare in the upcoming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and in more MCU news, the iconic comic book character Namor is set to be the villain in the upcoming Black Panther 2. John David Washington is reportedly being eyed for a role in the upcoming The Batman. The MCU is also seemingly looking to cast a transgender actress to play Sarah, a transgender hero in the MCU. Second to last for the rumor mill of this week, director Guillermo del Toro is apparently eyeing a massive cast for his upcoming Nightmare Alley. Some of the rumored names are Bradley Cooper, Toni Collette, Cate Blanchett, Rooney Mara, Michael Shannon, Willem Dafoe, Ron Perlman, and Richard Jenkins. Wow. And lastly for this week, and this is huge news for myself personally, if anything can actually come out of it, and that is that the Mortal Kombat movie writer Greg Russo has confirmed that he is trying to get a BioShock movie off the ground. And next is the reactions portion of the video, where we see the general reactions to the latest big Hollywood releases. Now, of course, the biggest film for this week was Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Although it is extremely far-fetched and over the top, you really just can't deny the chemistry that the cast has. And the action is a ton of fun. Now, that seems to be mostly the majority, but of course, there are people who didn't like the movie. And really, you can't blame them because a lot of people seem to think that they have just taken it too far now. Now, there is a bit of a gap here, and it is very clear that the audiences are enjoying it a lot more than the critics. It is currently still fresh, but not by much. And now we will be looking at the IMDb and Metacritic scores, and these are moderately similar, but nevertheless, it is still undeniable that audiences are enjoying it a lot more than the critics seem to be. And now, as always, we will close off this segment with the last portion being the box office results for the weekend. We all knew this was going to happen anyway, and leading the pack at the #1 spot is Hobbs and Shaw, which brought in a nice $60.8 million domestically and $181 million worldwide. In second place is Disney's live-action remake of The Lion King with another solid $38.25 million. Coming in at third, and I am very happy to report that Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has brought in another smooth $20 million. Coming in at fourth place and still remaining in the top 5 is Spider-Man Far From Home, which nabbed another $7.75 million. And Woody, Buzz, and the gang are still holding on to the last little portion of the top 5 with another $7.15 million. So folks, that was it for this week's weekly news. Before we close out this week, folks, if you're enjoying this content but want more up-to-date news, check us out on social media, where we provide everything you need to know in the movie industry as it happens. If I missed anything, be sure to drop it in the comments and let us all know. And while you're down there, be sure to let me know what you thought was the most shocking or surprising news from this week. As always, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap.